Okay, we're here at the port and going on some sort of boat. We don't really know what this tour entails. Today we're going on a 2-hour tour of the incredible floating islands of Peru, on the highest navigable lake in the world, Lake Titicaca. These unique islands have been home to the Uros people for centuries. Originally built as a refuge from invading civilizations, the islands continue to support a vibrant community. But is that vibrant community mainly tourism now? Let's find out.
We are currently at Lake Titicaca, which is the highest navigable lake in the world.
Today we're going to explore the floating islands of Uros in Peru. And these islands just aren't floating on the water, but people actually live on them. What started out as around 20 islands in the 80s is now 120 islands here. So there's a ton of houses, and you can even book a stay on one of the islands on Airbnb, booking.com, I believe, and experience the local living. So we're standing on the island right now. How does it feel?
Weird.
It's bouncy for sure. So they explained how they make these islands with the roots first, and then they combine these roots with ropes, and then they do 10 to 15 layers of reed on top of the roots. Those are the roots, and then layers and layers and layers of reeds on top. We were just taught how the islands were made, and now we're gonna check out the president of the island's house.
Well, he was saying that he lives there, his family lives there, and they have a solar power and a battery to store the solar power during the night, and they only have a radio and lights to use the battery. And the radio, they just use it to pretty much understand what's going on in the city,
Yeah.
listen to music and all that. They live with small kids all the way up to 6 years. When they get older, they go to a different hut. They do live out of all the crafts that they do, all the artwork that they do. That's pretty much what he said.
We're currently sitting on very small benches and on a boat made of reeds.
Yeah, well, not technically. So originally they were made of reeds, totora reeds, what it's called. Now they're made of plastic bottles and nylon, but they are kind of similar to the old boats.
Now we're taking a ride on the traditional balsa boat to the capital island. This 15-minute trip costs an extra 10 soles per person and offers a unique way to experience Lake Titicaca, just as the locals have for centuries. All right, we made it to the capital island. Let's see what it's about. Talk to me about the anchors.
Yes.
How do these islands stay in place?
So they float. The location where the where the islands are is like 25 feet deep, and the island is only like 3 meters thick. So they float. Now, how they anchor them so the wind doesn't take them away? They have these sticks, I guess, and they use lines, and they stick the sticks in the shallow
most shallow
parts,
part.
and then that's why they're always close to some wet land. And there's around 6 to 11 anchors per island, depending on the size of the island. All the islands are made of totora reeds, and that's this plant right here. And they use the root as the floating base, and then these as, let's say, the cushion where you walk onto it. And the fibers, they lay the fibers in different directions so it sticks together.
As we can see on this island, the capital, the main source of their income is tourism.
Yes, since in the 80s, I believe, they changed. Now their main economy is just tourism.
Yeah, we saw quite a few Airbnbs, some people doing jumping jacks on their Airbnb deck, a lot of tourists like us staying in those places.
I was doing some intel around, and turns out this is the biggest island, right? And includes 2 rooms that you can rent and spend the night, and also have a restaurant. So from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., apparently this island is packed with tourists. Right now, it's pretty empty for us, which is good.
We wanted to do a rundown of our thoughts.
I think they force the tourism in them, honestly.
Yeah, it might have been a little more better if it was less touristy. We thought the capital was going to be a little more local, but it was just tourist stuff. It was a restaurant for tourists, it was a shop for tourists. That's pretty much all that there was on that island. So we really didn't get to see the very local life they have on those islands.
Honestly, I don't think they have any at this point. Because if you think about it, the only thing that they still have is the floating island itself, nothing else. Because I think they lost that connection with their past life.
Because we had the 2-hour tour, it was very surface level. That might have been the case. There also is a 4-hour tour, and it might be more in depth of the local culture and villages nearby. So maybe we are wrong about it being way too touristy, but that was just our experience with the 2-hour tour. And that's our 2-hour tour of the islands of Uros, Peru, the floating islands.
Correct. If you ask me, was 2 hours enough? I'll say yeah. I don't think you need more than 2 hours.
And now we're heading back on the roof of our boat.
Freezing.
We're heading back to Puno. Hasta luego.